Yo, what's going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we've got some interesting news to look at in the crypto market with Tether and this Evergrande stuff. Seeing how it plays out, seeing that we still don't necessarily know how it's gonna go. Maybe they get bailed out. Who knows what happens with Evergrande and all that stuff? But Tether has come out and said that they don't have any holdings with Evergrande. Like this says, stablecoin Tether says holds no Evergrande commercial paper, and the problem with this became a whole problem is because of Tether's reserve balance stuff that came out a while ago, which is this chart right here. They came out and they said this is how their reserves break down. So the majority is cash and cash equivalents. You know, you have secured loans, corporate bonds, other investments, but cash is actually a very small percentage. When you break it down, it's only a little less than 4% of their cash and cash equivalences. Big problem here would be this commercial paper right here is 65% of their reserves. So making 65% of this 75%, it's like 49% of their total reserves. It's a lot of weird math that goes on, but it's just under half of their reserves is this commercial paper. The problem with this Evergrande news is Evergrande collapsing, having a negative impact on all of like Chinese companies and all this stuff. And even if they don't directly hold Evergrande commercial paper, which you would have to take Tether at their word that they don't have any. They're not proving they don't have any. So, take it with a grain of salt what they say. It goes further than just Evergrande because these other Chinese companies, and we've already seen it with a bunch of the other Chinese developers losing 80% of their value on stock markets. So we know China doesn't like stock market. They don't like crypto. So combine all that, they might very well let this collapse. And if Tether gets caught holding a bunch of Chinese commercial paper, it will get affected in their reserves. Will it be a big deal? Probably not, unless literally everybody tries to take or exchange their Tether for $1. Then we probably see a pretty big problem. It is a problem because of Tether's size. You see they're a $71 billion company and did $90 billion in volume. So Tether is the liquidity pool for crypto. Everybody trades in Tether. The majority of people trade in Tether. They will buy Bitcoin with Tether, sell Bitcoin for Tether, buy Ethereum that way, all cryptos that way. And it's just how a lot of cryptos are worked and linked. So if this happens and they collapse and Tether gets collapsed alongside with it, then the short-term pain would probably be absolutely massive. The odds of that happening, pretty low, let's be honest. A lot of people might write this off as FUD, not want to think about it, but it is something to consider and think about. Long-term effects for this, I think, are null, like nothing from it, but short-term, you'll have that volatility and all that stuff. But I think we'll just see another stablecoin come up and take Tether's place. Tether's nothing special. There's no reason why people love Tether. It's just a stablecoin at the end of the day. And the USDC is a coin I think would very easily replace Tether. It's not the size of Tether, 30 billion about, so half the size, a little less than half the size of Tether, and then 4.7 billion in volume, which is respectable. And if Tether was to collapse, I think USDC would be the first coin to kind of take its place and people would love it. They're both ERC20 coins. They're not like their own thing. It's not like Tether runs its own blockchain, its own network. It is ERC20. It's off Ethereum. Same thing with USDC. So they're literally identical in the way that they would work. Just represent $1, run ERC20, and people could just do the exact same thing that way. So being Tether, saying it's going to, if Tether collapses, crypto collapses, I don't think that happens. I think there's short-term pain from it, but in the long run, I just think something like USDC will take over this, especially USDC, because it's Coinbase's stablecoin. Coinbase being a publicly traded company, they're going to be trusted. They're going to be thought of to be secure, and the trust and security is going to be a big thing should Tether fall under. And we'll see, Coinbase saying this is their coin. I mean, people are going to trust that a lot more because of Coinbase being publicly traded, really out in the open and working with the SEC and regulators, and they want to be on the right side of all the regulation and stuff and want to do things right. So the trust will be there for USDC. And you can see this video from Jim Cramer. He's the guy for Fast Money on CNBC. And he talks about, or Mad Money, not Fast Money, Mad Money. And he talks about, this whole situation, kind of tries to break it down. Don't agree with all of his stuff that he says, but he's got the right track of stuff.
Last week, we talked to SEC Chairman Gary Gensler about Tether and what they own, and he said he was concerned. He should be concerned. Tether said they have no Evergrande exposure. Thank you. But tons of Chinese businesses stand to get crushed by this fiasco, and they have Evergrande exposure, and that could spell real trouble if the dominoes fall here. Let me put it this way. In 2008, a Lehman Brothers money market fund collapsed, which acted as an accelerant for the financial crisis. Could the same thing again happen with Tether? Just say I'm concerned, okay? Why should you care about Tether if you own some other cryptocurrency? Simple. Do you have any idea how much Bitcoin and Ethereum are purchased with Tether? It makes up a huge chunk of all transactions. Tether's like a $60 billion company. If Tether collapses, well, then it's going to gut the whole crypto ecosystem. So if you own crypto in any form and you've got big gains, I recommend taking something off the table. Now, I know there are lots of younger people who love this stuff. They own slivers of it and Robinhood. I wouldn't be surprised at all if crypto eventually goes mainstream. But right now, owning crypto is what's known as a crowded trade. And I don't want you to lose money if the space keeps getting hit by Evergrande's contagion worries. Make no mistake, unlike American banks, these cryptocurrencies could truly be vulnerable here thanks to that Tether connection. Take Tether out, and it wouldn't be, by the way. If the Chinese Communist Party liked crypto, that would be one thing. But they've spent this year trying to stamp out everything crypto-connected in China. And they don't seem to have much interest in stopping this problem at the source by bailing out Evergrande, or at least they don't want to bail out the shareholders and the creditors. I know the crypto lovers never want to hear me say sell, but if you got a big gain as I did, well, I'm begging you to. Don't let it become a loss. Sell some, stay long the rest. Then let's wait and see if China changes its attitude towards an Evergrande bailout.
So for all this, yes, he's like true in where like this Tether stuff could collapse and cause lots of pain. I don't think the odds of that happening are very high, though. It's just everything that's going on with Evergrande and China, and how even private markets in China don't want Evergrande to like collapse because that'll bring tons of regulation. So there's a lot of incentives for people to not allow this to happen. And even if it does happen, short-term pain, whatever, long-term, nothing changes for Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum. But, all the other cryptos, those could be the ones that I would be wary of holding on to if you're into something like that. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin being less risky than Ethereum, but those are the coins that should be held, that you should not really have to worry about. And you should always just have money that you don't really need to worry about either in there to make sure that it's not going to change your life should it go to zero. And that would be a massively bad thing. If you have all of your life savings in crypto or any investment, even the stock market, and things start to tumble and you need to take the money out, then you secure losses, and it's just not a good situation for anybody. But that's going to do it for this video. Tether, interesting to see how things will play out. I don't think that this whole situation will happen, but it's something that could happen. And even if it does happen, I don't think it's going to be a massive problem. It'll be short-term pain. Things will hurt for maybe a few months, maybe a year, who knows. It could accelerate maybe a bear market and take away all the super cycle theories, but ultimately, in the long term, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change what Bitcoin's doing. It doesn't change why people are in Bitcoin. It doesn't change any of that. So long term, no issues. Short term, probably something painful. But probably not going to happen at the exact same time. So, as always, guys, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. See you guys in my next video.